We be soldiers three, pardonnez-moi, je vous en prie. Hold thy peace, I pray thee, hold thy peace. Ooh, hold thy peace, I pray thee, hold thy peace. Sweet Caliban, good times never seem so good, so good, so good, so good. Shakespeare's plays, ladies and gentlemen, are full of song. Maybe not that last one, but it did work really, really well in our production of The Tempest last year. See, Sweet Caliban? See where I'm going with that? Yeah. They're full of songs, songs about love, songs about life, songs about drinking ale, yes. And those songs reflect the musicality that dances across the lines in every page. And our young people today have found their own musicality in Shakespeare's plays, a musicality in their choice of character, of creation of atmosphere, of situation, and a musicality in the care that they have taken over their artistic choices. And ladies and gentlemen, that musicality today is going to make your heart sing with joy. So welcome to this, the 2024 grand final of our Performing Shakespeare competition in these most exquisite surroundings. The Sam Wanamaker Playhouse, a Jacobean playhouse that's been beautifully reconstructed. And this playhouse this year celebrates its 10th anniversary. So let's give it a round of applause, shall we? You are going to be doing a lot of that today, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of applauding. And I'm Jen. I better introduce myself, hadn't I? I'm your MC for today. You are in safe hands, I do promise you. I'm an actor, I'm a director, I run a theatre company, and I am also a complete and utter Shakespeare geek. In fact, normally in May, June, we would be touring our Shakespeare Schools production, but this year we diverted from that completely as we went on tour with Joan Littlewood's groundbreaking musical, Oh What a Lovely War, which is all about the First World War, but we chose to do it so that we could coincide with the D-Day 80 commemorative events. It is a brilliant show. It is both heartbreaking and also heartwarming and uplifting. And in actual fact, the English-speaking Union rose out of the ashes of the First World War in 1918. And it's their belief that through oracy, through being able to make ourselves understood, and more importantly perhaps, to be able to understand and to listen to other people's point of view, that we can build those bridges between nature, different nations and different cultures. And by taking characters of Shakespearean plays and perhaps walking in somebody else's shoes for just a mile, that's what these young people are starting to develop as they start their journey into the adult world. Those wonderful experiences of being able to take on somebody else's life, to experience just for a short amount of time the joys, the ecstasies, the sorrows that those characters experience in their journeys through the play during that narrative. And that's what the English-speaking Union is all about, is enabling us to develop those amazing oracy skills that we need to be able to communicate effectively with not just our nation, but nations across the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the proceedings started, shall we? I think that might be a song. Let's get this party started. So, please will you join with me in welcoming the English-speaking Union's Head of Education to the stage, Louisa Searle.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the grand final of the ESU's Performing Shakespeare competition. My name is Louisa, and it is just fabulous to see so many of you here today to support these fantastic, inspirational young people. As Jen's just told you, the ESU was founded in 1918 with the belief that better communication between nations would lead to greater understanding. So, the ESU has been developing oracy skills worldwide for over 100 years, but today's competition is just 14 years old. which is the same age as some of our competitors today. This competition is unique and special because it develops oracy skills, but also asks competitors to consider dramatic techniques. It is a competition designed for both public speakers and budding thespians. So today is the culmination of 8 months of fierce competition, where over 100 schools across England and Wales have entered 2,000 young people. They've gone through the heats, and so today we are down to the final 12 performances. It is therefore an absolutely incredible achievement to make it to this stage today. And I hope that all of our young people who get to stand on here today understand the scale of their achievement. I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate the hardworking and tireless teachers and coaches whose inspiration and belief in their young people have helped them to access this fantastic opportunity and competition. Can we start by giving a huge round of applause for the teachers and for their young people? So, I am incredibly relieved that I am not on the judging panel because it is going to be a very difficult job this afternoon. We have 12 wonderful performances for you, and so all that's left for me to say is to you, the audience, enjoy, and to our performers, break a leg. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our young performers have come from across the nation today to perform for you in this fabulous theatre. Isn't it just beautiful? And what we want to do is we want to acknowledge all of the effort and all of the achievements that they have made so far, and to celebrate all of the dedication that they have put into creating their characters and into learning the lines, the wonderful musical lines of Mr. William Shakespeare. So what we're going to do is, before we even start, we're going to bring all of them up onto the stage to give them their finalists medals, not regional, but their finalist medals. And I hope that you will join me in giving them all a massive round of applause. So, first of all, let me just get my correct list. We are going to bring up for the South West and West England, Eliza Griffiths from King's School in Gloucester. Come on, Hannah, on your turn. For the East Midlands, Charlie Piper from Oakham School. For the West Midlands, Harvey Eaton from Warwick School. For the East, Layla Colley and Laurie Jones from Chesterton Community College. From the Mid-South, Charlie Carr from Aylesbury High School. From East London, Malachi Iantuga from the City of London Academy Shoreditch Park. From West London, Edward Lysander Clark from the Sylvia Young Theatre School. For the South, Stephen Powell from Ditcham Park School. Okay. From the North, West and North Wales, Orla Betts from Manchester High School for Girls. Who actually was supposed to come earlier, but I missed her out. Sorry, darling. And for the South East, Samuel Church and Alexander from Lingfield College. And for the South West, Hester Wilkinson from Stonor School. ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a huge round of applause. And off they go. Don't forget to breathe, all of you. Smile, relax. You're going to have a lovely time. They are going to have a lovely time. They really are. It's amazing. It's fabulous. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to introduce to you our esteemed judging panel. And I am, having done this many times, really pleased not to be on the judging panel for this afternoon, because these young people, genuinely, they are going to blow your minds. I don't know where the judges are. They're dotted around all over the place. So first of all, our chair judge, returning once again, is Dr. Victoria Sperry, who is a senior lecturer at the University of Exeter, and she's recently published a book that I had no idea, and I'm going to dash out immediately and get, because it's about Shakespeare's adolescence, age, gender and body in Shakespearean performance and early modern culture, which sounds amazing. Brilliant. Then joining Dr. Sperry is Joe Fredericks, who is a former CEO of the Experimental Learning Group and former TV and West End performer, director and producer. We really have pulled out the best for you guys. Next up, we have Hermione Dadoin, who has worked in education for 15 years and is an avid student of Shakespeare and a lifelong visitor of the Globe, and who wouldn't be? We also have on our panel Louis Preston, who is a former regional finalist, so he's going to know exactly how you guys are feeling today, of the English Speaking Union Churchill public speaking competition, and he is currently pursuing a career in TV. Then we also have Rupta Datta, who is an active public speaker and who has led countless Performing Shakespeare competition finals. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Lucinda Macro, who is the chief examiner for the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts. She has a background in acting and running her own drama school, which is very handy for you lot. So if you've got any questions later, then do head and ask her. She focuses on promoting the study of speech and drama and encourages learners of all ages, ladies and gentlemen, to enjoy exploring the beauty of language and literature. Let's give them a huge round of applause today. Sitting out there in the dark somewhere, sweating already. Now, there is a fabulous format to this competition, because not only is it about those performance choices and taking on Shakespeare's words, it's also about the oracy element, and the oracy is marked as equally as the performance of that. And so what you're going to see today is a 5-minute performance from our young and budding professional, almost, actors. So the first bit that they're going to do is oracy, where they tell you about their own artistic choices and the interpretation that they have decided to take on, because that's the wonderful thing about Shakespeare, is you can do anything with Shakespeare and you can explore the Shakespearean text in many, many different ways. And they're going to explain a little bit to you about those choices that they have made. And then after that, they will start their performances. They're not allowed any props. They've come in very, very basic clothing today, so that it's just about their performances, their faces, their movement, their eyes, their souls. They're allowed to use chairs, but other than that, they can have nothing at all to aid their performance. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us get this fabulous afternoon's performance up and running. And our first performers are Samuel Church and Alexander Cundill from the Lingfield College, who will be performing Quince and Bottom from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 1, Scene 2. Give them a round of applause.
And we're going to be performing Act 1, Scene 2 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm playing Quince.
And I'm playing Bottom. This is the first rehearsal where we meet the mechanicals, who are the comedic parts of the play. They break up the nitty-gritty from the love-struck characters to the more down-to-earth characters of the players.
We can also see a lot of contrast within this scene as well, because Quince is a true thespian. He's really, really serious, and Bottom is egocentric and he wants to play all the parts and he's just messing around. And the play they're performing is Pyramus and Thisbe, which is a really, really deep and serious play, but this contrasts with the player's bumbling, hilarious attempt at actually performing it. The play is set in Athens, and the play within a play is going to be played by the players at the Duke Theseus and Duchess Hippolyta's wedding.
The Duke and Duchess also play the fairy king and queen, Titania and Oberon.
We chose this scene because in last year's ESU competition, we both did very, very serious pieces. I did Titus Andronicus.
And I did Romeo and Juliet.
And we both agree that we think comedy is much harder to do than tragedy. And we wanted to delve into that and explore it more. Thank you for listening,
and we hope you enjoy our scene.
Is all our company here?
You were best to call them generally, man by man, according to the script.
Here is a scroll of every man's name thought fit through all Athens to play in our interlude before the Duke and the Duchess on their wedding day at night.
First, good Peter Quince, say what the play treats on, then read the names of the actors, so as to grow a point.
Marry, our play is the most lamentable comedy and the most cruel death of Pyramus and Thisbe.
A very good piece of work, I assure you. And, Mary, now, good Peter Quince, call forth your actors by the scroll. Masters, spread yourselves!
Answer as I call you. Nick Bottom, the weaver.
Ready. Now, what part am I for? Proceed.
You, Nick Bottom, are set down for Pyramus.
What is Pyramus? A lover or a tyrant?
A lover that kills himself most gallantly for love.
I will ask in some tears the true performing of it. If I do it, let the audience look to their eyes. I will move storms. I will condole in some measure to the rest. Let my chief humour is for a tyrant. I could play Urkel's ready, or a part to tear a cat in, to make all split. The raging rocks and shivering shocks shall break the locks of prison gates, and Thisbe's car shall shine from far, and wake annoy the foolish fates. This was lofty. Now name the rest of the players. This is Urkel's vein, a tyrant's vein. A lover is more condoling.
Francis Flute, the bellows mender. Flute, you must take Thisbe on you. It is the lady that Pyramus must love. You shall play it in a mask, and you may speak as small as you will.
And I may hide my face. I'll play Thisbe too. I'll speak in a monstrous little voice. Thisbe! Thisbe! Pyramus, my lover dear. Thisbe dear and lady dear.
No. You must play Pyramus, and Flute, you Thisbe.
And proceed.
Robin Starveling, the tailor. Starveling, you must play Thisbe's mother. Snout, the tinker, you will play Pyramus's father. Myself, Thisbe's father. Snug, the joiner, you will play the lion's part. And I hope here a play is fitted. You may do it extempore, for it is nothing but roaring.
I'll play the line too. I will roar. Roar. Then I'll do any man's good heart to hear me. I will roar. Roar. Then I'll make the Duke say, let him roar. Let him roar again.
And you should do it too terribly. It would frighten the Duchess and the ladies so that they would shrink, and it would be enough to hang us all.
Gentles, Perchance you wonder at this play, but wander on till truth makes all things plain. What an absolutely brilliant start to the competition. Just so much fun and so much energy in that performance. So ladies and gentlemen, we race from comedy into a sort of pastoral versus the court type play that Shakespeare wrote. One of those difficult plays that we look at today and go, how do we, bless you, how do we deal with that one? So without further ado, our next performer is Stephen Powell from Ditcham Park School, who will be performing the role of Jaques or Jackers or Jack, however you choose to perform it, from As You Like It, Act 2, Scene 7.
Hello, my name is Stephen Powell, and I will be performing the well-known monologue, The Seven Ages of Man, from As You Like It, Act 2, Scene 7, which is spoken by Jaques. This monologue stands the test of time, as is the case with much of Shakespeare's work, with its message being repeated for 423 years. One would think it's bizarre to find such an impactful piece in a romantic comedy, but the character who recites it has quite the significant purpose. The story leading up to it is quite simple. Duke Senior has been overthrown by his brother, Duke Frederick, and has been banished from the land. He and a group of loyal followers seek refuge in the forest of Arden. Jaques is one of these noblemen. He takes no part in the unfolding of the main plot, but instead often criticizes the Duke and his peers for the situation they found themselves in. He is always in a melancholy mood and presents his sadness as a sense he has refined over the many years. While in the forest, the Duke brings the idea of a universal theatre where we all play in. Jaques branches on this idea, stating all the world's a stage. After these words, he makes a dramatic speech about life and our role in it. Through Jaques, Shakespeare is sending out a profound message that we each undergo stages in life, from a small and helpless baby to an old and frail body, and every moment we are adding to our parts, grasping for a sense of meaning and purpose. Until one day we are forced to shuffle off this mortal coil. I chose this piece because of its diverse nature. There are so many characters to portray, so many stages to convey to the audience. Its dramatic effect and meaningful message is why I chose it. Because, like all those actors who have played Jaques in the past, I too am now passing on the important message that Shakespeare has left behind to you and to myself. So today, I invite you all to think. What stage of life have you reached? How well are you playing your parts? All the world's a stage. And all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. And then, the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrows. And then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pards, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. Ooh. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cape on lines, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so, he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into a lean and slippered pantaloon with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends the strange, eventful history, his second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Thank you.
Enjoying that. And the Elizabethan bow that we did in the workshop today, I'm very pleased to see that as well. It's quite a speech, isn't it? And it's actually the speech that kicked off my fascination with Shakespeare. We toured As You Like It for 5 months. It rained almost every single day of the tour because we were doing that brilliant thing that we do in Britain in the summer, outdoor theatre. Who thought that was a good idea? And on the last night, as Adrian was performing that speech, he was playing Jaques, in the distance you could hear the mournful sound of an ambulance siren. And it was one of those moments where you just go, whoa, that's what it's all about, isn't it? And so, from comedy to tragedy, ladies and gentlemen, our next performer is Harvey Eaton from Warwick School, who will be playing Romeo from Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 2.
Hello, my name's Harvey, and today I will be performing to you an extract taken from Act 2, Scene 2 from the play Romeo and Juliet. The play was first performed in around 1596, and since then it has been performed thousands of times all across the globe. In my scene, Act 2, Scene 2, Romeo is standing beneath a balcony on which he's looking up at Juliet, and he's essentially marvelling at how beautiful he thinks she is. The play follows the lives of two young lovers, Romeo Montague and Juliet Capulet, as they fall in love. However, they are forbidden from being together because of their family's ongoing feud. This forces them to marry in secret, and therefore the play ends with both of their tragic deaths. Romeo shares the role of the protagonist with Juliet, and he is actually inspired by the ancient Italian comedic theatre style called Commedia dell'arte. And more precisely, he is actually inspired by a certain character in this theatre style called the innamorati. This is because the innamorati are traditionally lovers, and they face many obstacles, like Romeo, to be eventually reunited with their lover at the end of the play. Of course, we know that Romeo is never truly reunited with his lover at the end of his play. My interpretation of Romeo is that he is someone who is in love with the idea of being in love, and then once he is in love with being in love. He is a true romantic. Love totally and utterly consumes him. However, I also view Romeo as a bit of a player. This is because at the start of the play, he is totally obsessed with a girl called Rosalind. This is until he sees Juliet, and since then, he has been totally obsessed with her instead. I also view Romeo as a key daydreamer, and I think he is doing that for the most part of the scene that I'm about to perform. And I also think he can show off his cheeky side a bit too. I chose this scene and this play out of all the others because I love the play Romeo and Juliet, and I love the character of Romeo. This is because I love his passion and his charm. Thank you. He jested at scars that never felt a wound, but soft. What light the yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Her eyes, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. God. Oh, 'tis my lady, 'tis my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet says nothing. What of that? Her eyes discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not whom to me she speaks. 'Twas the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head, the brightness of her cheek would shame those stars. His daylight doth a lamp, her eyes would stream through the air so bright, the birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Certainly is one of Shakespeare's most popular plays. We used to perform at the audience's request in the gardens of Shakespeare's birthplace. There was one afternoon when we performed the balcony scene. There's no balcony, it's just a window. From Romeo and Juliet 15 times. Juliet was a little less than enthusiastic by the 15th time, I can tell you. Right, moving on now to an absolutely fabulous cross-dressing comedy. We have Orla Betts from Manchester High School for Girls, who will be playing Viola in Twelfth Night in Act 2, Scene 2.
Hello, I'm Orla Betts. I'm from Manchester High School for Girls, and today I will... Scene 2 from Twelfth Night. I left no ring with her. I play Viola, a young girl who decides to dress up as a man after being found destitute in a foreign place. So far in this scene, she has fallen in love with a man called Orsino. To her despair, she finds out that this man is already in love with a woman named Olivia. To further complicate matters, Olivia has fallen in love with Viola's male disguise, Cesario. I chose this piece because of its relatability to the modern day audience. Viola plays three different characters. The man who would have originally played her due to the fact that in Shakespeare's time, there were no women allowed to act. Viola, the woman herself, and Cesario, a man who goes to work for Orsino. The gender fluidity present on stage really resonates with the contemporary audience, and in this nod to Shakespeare's relatability, and he is so ahead of his time. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoy. I left no ring with her! What means this lady? Fortune forbid my outside hath not charmed her. She made good view of me, indeed so much so, that sure methought her eyes had lost her tongue, for she spoke in starts distractedly. She loves me. Sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring, for he sent her none. I am man, if it be so, as 'tis. Poor lady, she would better love a dream. Disguise. I see thou art a wickedness in which the pregnant enemy does much. How easy is it for the proper false in women's waxen hearts to set their form? Alas, it is our frailty that is the cause, not we. For such as we be made of, for such we be. How will this fudge? My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, fond as much on him. And she, mistakenly, seems to dote on me. How will this fudge? As I am man, my state is desperate for my master's love. As I am woman, now alas the day. What thriftless sighs shall poor Olivia breathe? O time, thou shalt untangle this, not I. No. It's far too hard a knot for me to untie.
It's lovely as well to hear Shakespeare performed in an authentic accent as well, isn't it? You know, having the bravery to not have to necessarily be in RP to do Shakespeare. Now is the winter of our discontent, make glorious summer by the son of York. But just to come out and speak in your own voice and wear a cracking pair of boots as well. Right, moving swiftly on, from comedy to tragedy, we've got Charlie Piper from Oakham School, who is going to be portraying Hamlet in Hamlet from Act 1, Scene 2.
Hello, my name is Charlie Piper, and today I will be performing Hamlet's first soliloquy from Act 1, Scene 2. In this scene, Hamlet talks about wanting to disappear after the death of his father, the King of Denmark. His grief is amplified by the pending wedding of his mother and uncle. He talks in disgust about his mother for remarrying so quickly and badmouths his uncle. This really landed with me
Because sometimes in mourning, you take out your frustrations on people who don't really deserve it. For example, Hamlet does love his mother. His real anger is at the loss of his father, but he doesn't know where to place his anger, so he takes it out on people who he loves. We all know that feeling of taking out our frustrations on people close to us. I sometimes take my frustrations out on my mum, but I love her, really. I have to say that because she's in the audience. This piece is also really important because of the serious issue of men's mental health. Every single day in the UK, 12 men take their own life, and 800,000 people die to suicide every single year. It's really important that people are informed of this and know that they can express them feelings, something that Shakespeare does with such clarity in this scene with Hamlet's complex thoughts. Way ahead of his time, as always. Now, without further ado, here is Hamlet's first soliloquy. Oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Oh, that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon 'gainst self-slaughter. Oh God, God! How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world! Violent! Fire! 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. That it should come to this! But 2 months dead. Nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king that was to this Hyperion to a satyr. So loving to my mother that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth must I remember! Why, she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. Yet within a month, let me not think on't. Frailty. Thy name is woman. A little month or ere those shoes were old, with which she followed my poor father's body like Niobe, all tears. Why, she... Oh God! A beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer, married with my uncle, my father's brother. But no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, at the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes, she married, o most wicked speed, to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. It is not, nor it cannot come to good, but break my heart, for I must hold my tongue.
It can't get any better. And look what you guys are doing, blowing our minds and cheeky with it. So, here's another cheeky little role for us, ladies and gentlemen. Our next performer is Edward Lysander Clark from Sylvia Young Theatre School, who will be playing Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 2, Scene 1.
Hello, my name is Edward Lysander Clark, and I was named after Lysander, one of the lovers in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. So it seems particularly appropriate that I should be performing to you from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. I picked Puck's monologue in Act 2, Scene 1 of the play. This is Puck's first appearance. I picked Puck because I resonate with his character. He's a woodland sprite and has magical powers. And to be honest, who wouldn't want those? He's also mischievous and playful. And although he is responsible for all the misunderstandings, chaos, and love triangles that later occur in the forest, he is rather like a naughty child and doesn't mean any harm. In fact, he is quite happy to set everything back when instructed to, like a child that has to tidy up their toys. I just turned 14, but I'm a reluctant teenager because I'm still drawn to the innocence of childhood and its never-ending promise of play. And this is why Puck is so energizing to play, because he is all at once ageless and childlike. However, what's particularly interesting is that in Elizabethan times, fairies were either regarded as evil and capable of black magic and sorcery, or as good fairies, capable of granting wishes and bestowing blessings. Shakespeare, however, subverted that belief with Puck. His Puck is neither evil nor totally good, and his character set a precedent, sparking for a totally different representation of fairies. In the scene, Puck introduces himself, gives a sense of the magnitude of his powers, his abilities as a shapeshifter, and foreshadows the chaos soon to take place. He also tells us how much he loves his job, and how much of his job is dedicated to making Oberon smile. So I hope my performance of Puck can make you smile too. Thou speak'st right! I am that merry wanderer of the night. I jest to Oberon and make him smile when I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile, neighing in likeness of a filly fowl. Sometime look I in a gossip's bowl, in the very likeness of a roasted crab. And when she drinks, against her lips I bob, and on her withered dillap pour the ale. The wisest aunt telling the saddest tale, sometime for 3-foot stool mistaken me. Then slip I from her bum, and down topple she, and the whole choir hold their hips unloft, and waxen in their mirth, and need and swear her merry hour was never wasted there. But room, fairy, here comes Oberon.
Oh, we love a good love triangle, don't we? What Shakespeare would think of Love Island, I have no idea. Anyway, moving on to a really interesting choice today. I don't think I've seen this character portrayed at all in this competition in the last 10 or so years that I've been involved with it. So here we have Hannah Green from Hymers College, who is playing Hecate from Macbeth, Act 3, Scene 5.
Good afternoon, my name is Hannah Green from Hymers College, and today I'm going to be performing as Hecate from Act 3, Scene 5 of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Not to state the obvious for performing Shakespeare competition, but the man is a genius. Without him, English literature just wouldn't have been the same. For me, I've always loved performing and bringing new light on what might be considered old-style plays. And who better than Shakespeare? All of his characters are beautifully flawed and brilliantly demonstrates the spectrum of humanity, from the very best to the very worst. Which leads me nicely on to Macbeth. Macbeth himself was a tragic hero, brought down by his own ambition, but my interest lies elsewhere. The witches and their superior. Shakespeare's contemporaries would have viewed these characters with great wariness, but also great interest, much like we watch horror films today. The king at the time of Macbeth's first performance, James I, wrote a book entitled Demonology, in which he discussed the practices of hunting witches and how they aimed to lead unfortunate souls to their untimely demise. Now, Hecate, the character I'm going to be performing as today, was considered to be the goddess of crossroads and pathways. And in this act, she rebukes the witches for meddling with Macbeth without her. She's incredibly angry, as she wished to play a part in his tragic downfall. She and the witches aim to lead Macbeth astray down the path towards his own death by blurring the lines between reality and his deepest, darkest desires. In doing so, Shakespeare presents these characters as malicious and untrustworthy, as their lines are written in rhyming couplets to reflect the spells they cast, and the ingredients of their cauldron being truly terrifying and grotesque to represent the havoc they intend to wreak. In the play, the witches have a motto of fair is foul and foul is fair, which means that what they delight in we find unacceptable and terrifying, and vice versa, hence their desire to conspire against Macbeth. Shakespeare's contemporaries would have been truly terrified of these characters, and I hope that same terror reflects in my performance of Hecate today, which I shall start now. Thank you. Have I not risen? Beldams as you are, saucy and overbold. How did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death, and I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part or show the glory of our arts. And, which is worse, all you have done hath been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. But make amends now. Get you gone. And at the pit of Acheron, meet me in the morning. Thither he will come to know his destiny. Your vessels and your spells provide, your charms and everything beside. I'm for the air. This night I'll spend unto a dismal and a fatal end. Great business must be wrought ere noon. Upon the corner of the moon there hangs a vaporous drop profound. I'll catch it ere it come to ground, and that, distilled by magic sprites, shall raise such artificial sprites as by the strength of their illusion shall draw him unto his confusion. He shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes of wisdom, grace, and fear. And you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. Hark, I am called. My little spirit sees, sits on a foggy cloud and stays for me.
Although we have said Macbeth a few too many times, so in the break what we all need to do is go out, spit on the floor, turn around 3 times and not to be let back in, so that we don't leave a curse on this brilliant building. So ladies and gentlemen, we rattle on through the programme. Next I would like to introduce to you Eliza Griffiths from the King's School in Gloucester, who will be playing Juliet from Romeo and Juliet, Act 4, Scene 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Eliza. I'm 12 years old and I'm going to be playing Juliet From Romeo and Juliet, Act 4, Scene 3. It is hard to believe that Juliet is only 13 years old, only slightly older than me. In Shakespeare's times, it was legal for a girl to marry when they were just 12 years old, but it was very rare for this to actually happen, and most girls married in their 20s. But Juliet allows herself to fall in love with a Montague, who are her family's sworn enemies. This shows me how defiant Juliet can be. She's a rule breaker. Juliet has a distant, formal relationship with her mother and rebels against her parents' wishes. In contrast, Juliet's relationship with Romeo is an explosion of love and passionate emotions, but their hasty decisions lead to disastrous consequences. In this soliloquy, Juliet debates whether to drink the potion that the Friar Lawrence has given her, so that she can fake her death and avoid marrying Paris the next day. Juliet is already married to Romeo and believes she will go to hell if she marries again, and she cannot imagine life without Romeo. I've really enjoyed exploring Juliet's emotions throughout this scene. It begins with feelings of dread as Juliet says goodbye to her nurse, perhaps for the last time, to then questioning if the Friar Lawrence might be trying to trick her to avoid being blamed for her secret wedding. Juliet really loses control of her thoughts as she madly imagines what might happen in the vault, especially if she wakes up before Romeo arrives to rescue her. She fears she might go mad, surrounded by corpses and ghosts, and even starts hallucinating, picturing her recently killed cousin. But Juliet is desperate, so despite her growing terror, she bravely risks her life for Romeo and drinks the potion. Juliet's dilemma is complex, and it appeals to me because it makes me question, how much would any of us sacrifice for love? Farewell! God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint, cold fear throws through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life. I'll call them back again to comfort me. Nurse! What should she do here? My dismal scene I needs must act alone. Calm. Vile. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall he be married then tomorrow morning? No. No. This shall forbid it. Knife lies out there. What if it be a poison which the friar subtly has ministered to have me dead, lest in this marriage he should be dishonoured because he married me before to Romeo? I fear it is, and yet methinks it should not, for he hath still been tried a holy man. How if, when I'm laid in the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me? There's a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled ere my Romeo comes? Or, if I live, is it not very like the horrible conceit of death and night, together with the terror of the place, where for this many 100 years the bones of all my great ancestors are packed, were bloody tilt, yet but green in earth lies festering in his shroud, where, as they say, at some hours in the night spirits resort? Oh, if I wake not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefather's joints, and pluck the mangled Tybalt from his shroud, and in this rage, with the great kinsman's bone, dash out my desperate brains! Oh, look! Methinks I see my cousin's ghost, seeking out to Romeo that did spit his blood upon a rapier's point. Stay, Tybalt, stay! Romeo. 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 His drink. I drink to thee.
When we're taking our kids to see Mary Poppins when they were very little, and when Mary Poppins was saying goodbye to Jane and Michael, my little 5-year-old went, "Don't go, Mary Poppins!" And the whole place was just, and that's what we're looking for, isn't it? We're looking for those moments where we're like, "Don't do it, Juliet! He's not worth it." Harvey said, "He's a player," didn't you? That's what he said. Oh, don't do it, Juliet. Okay, moving on. Let's lighten the mood with a little bit of comedy. So we're moving on to Twelfth Night, and we've got Layla Colley and Laurie Jones, who are playing as Viola and Orsino from Twelfth Night, Act 2, Scene 4, and they're from Chesterton Community College.
Hello. Our duologue is from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, Act 2, Scene 4. It depicts the Duke Orsino and his manservant, Cesario.
I think you mean Viola in disguise.
Thank you, Layla. That's Orsino and who he thinks to be Cesario, debating what it means to fall in love. Orsino has been infatuated with the Countess Olivia for months and has sent his servant to woo her on his behalf.
Instead, Olivia has fallen for Cesario, who in turn secretly adores Orsino.
Confused? Join the club. Orsino starts to experience some strange feelings.
Feelings that ultimately turn into true love for my character.
Now, this is acting, not real life, so don't get any ideas.
In this moment, Orsino seems blind to the truth. You almost want to shout at him to wake up!
All right, Layla, calm down.
I am perfectly calm, Laurie.
Hey, let's start over. How about some eye contact? Wow. That does actually feel better. A certain rapport is quite necessary in playing the scene.
This scene means a lot to me. I know what it's like to feel strong emotions, but someone who then pushes you away. Viola inspires me because of the way she can put on a brave face whilst having lost her sibling in a shipwreck. Similarly, in lockdown, when I couldn't see family in Italy, I got really lonely. But tough times bring strength.
True. I can connect with Orsino through my arthritic pain. I have weekly injections of methotrexate, which can make me feel extremely nauseous. I've noticed that Orsino has certain triggers as well, and can react with violent outbursts of hyperbole. I don't want people to hate Orsino for his sexist arguments. I don't think Shakespeare intended that. But rather for him to show what it can truly feel like to have a change of heart.
Shall we give it a try?
Ah, fellow, come. The song we had last night. Mark it, Cesario. It is old and plain. The spinsters and the knitters and the sun do use to chant it. That is silly sooth, and dallies with the innocence of love like the old age. Prithee, sing. Come away, death.
And into cypress, let me lay.
Fly away, breath. I am slain by a fair cruel.
Give me now leave to leave thee. Once more, Cesario, get thee to yon same sovereign cruelty. Tell her, my love, more noble than the world, prizes not quantity in dirty lands, the parts that fortune hath bestowed upon her. Tell her I hold as gilly as fortune. But 'tis this miracle, and queen of gems, that nature pranks her in, attracts my soul.
But if she cannot love you, sir.
I can only so answer it.
Sooth, but you must say that some lady, as perhaps there is, hath for your love a great pang of heart as you have for Olivia. You cannot love her. You tell her so. Must she not then be answered?
There is no woman's sight that can bide the beating of so strong a passion as love doth give my heart. They lack for attention. Alas, their love may be called appetite. No motion of the liver, but the palate, that suffers surfeit, climate, and revolt, but mine is all as hungry as the sea, and can digest as much. Make no compare between a love a woman can bear me, and that I, oh, Olivia.
Aye, but I know!
What dost thou know?
Too well what love women to men may own. In faith, they are as true of heart as we. My father had a daughter, loved a man, as it might be perhaps, were I a woman, I should be your lordship.
And what's her history?
Her blank, my lord. She never told her love, but let concealment, like a worm in the bud, feed on her damask cheek. She pined in thought, and with a green and yellow melancholy, she sat like Patience on a monument, smiling at grief. Was not this love indeed? We men, say men, swear men, but indeed our shows are more than will. For still we prove much in our vows, but little in our love.
But died thy sister of her love? My boy?
It's lovely when you find a real connection with the person that you're performing with on stage. I worked with an actor once who looked just sort of over the top of your head, and there was nothing more frustrating because all you kept doing was just sort of, hello, I'm here. But when you find a partnership that really works, it's really quite magical, isn't it? Right, now we're moving on to a rarely seen piece. So we've got Malachi Iantuga, who comes from the City of London Academy Shoreditch Park, who will be playing Lance from The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Act 2, Scene 3.
Hello, my name is Malachi Iantuga, and today
performing Act 2, Scene 3 from Two Gentlemen of Verona. You see, Shakespeare's eponymous heroes, or anti-heroes, are celebrated in every theatrical season, celebrating the bard's work. From Richard III being performed in the Globe this summer, to Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet being performed in the West End. The bard's titular heroes can be seen in all areas of London. But what about those characters that aren't in the title of the play? What about those characters that aren't even, well, heroes? In Two Gentlemen of Verona, Lance is a servant, and in this scene, he has just left his family to join Proteus to journey to Milan. And that's it, really. He has no influence, no power over the plot, no deus ex machina to put him on the throne. He's a servant and is just there to help. So why does Lance get what is called the scene-stealing speech of Two Gentlemen of Verona? You see, Lance has been ghosted, before ghosting was even a thing, by his beloved dog, Crab. And in this scene, we see more emotion, more pathos than Macbeth ever could manage. In this scene, he speaks to the audience of his beloved dog's Crab's great betrayal.
Most of us will never be kings or princes or fairies or witches or have our dead father's ghost tell us to murder our uncle. But the relationship between a person and their pet is universal. And Shakespeare shows us why his works remain relevant because of the great universal emotion and understanding that they have. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. I think Crab, my dog, be the sourest natured dog that lives. My mother weeping, my father wailing, my sister crying, the maid howling, the cat wringing her hands, and all our house in a great perplexity. Yet did this cruel-hearted beast shed one tear. He's a very pebble stone, and there's no more pity in him than a dog. A man would have wept at my parting. My grandma, having no eyes, mind you, wept herself blind at my parting. Nay, I'll show you the manner of it. This shoe is my father. No. This right shoe is my father. No. This shoe, with the worser sole, is my mother. And this shoe, a great look of vengeance upon it, is my father. This staff is my sister. She is as white as a lily and as small as a wand. This hat is Nan, our maid. And I am the dog, and the dog is himself. No, the dog is himself, and I'm also the dog. Oh, the dog is me, and I am myself. I bid you adieu.
Very sensible not to have a real dog on the stage. We used our dog Pepper in our production of Peter Pan a couple of years ago, and she refused to do anything other than lie on the stage and go to sleep, which wasn't really what Nana should be doing in Peter Pan. But there you go, never mind, it was hot. We were all hot. We all could have done with going to sleep. So next I am going to introduce to you Hester Wilkinson from Stonor School, who will be playing Rosalind, or Rosaline, or however you want to pronounce it, in As You Like It from Act 3, Scene 2.
Hello, my name is Hester Wilkinson, and the character I've chosen to play today is Rosalind from As You Like It. I chose to play Rosalind because I like her strong character. She's sassy, bright, independent, but she's also loyal and a good friend, which I'd like to say I can also relate to. Before the play starts, Rosalind's father is banished from the court by her uncle. The only reason Rosalind herself is allowed to stay in court is because of the strong bond she has with her cousin Celia. But it's pretty obvious that the court isn't a happy place for Rosalind, and this is clear when in the early scenes of the play she speaks in Shakespeare's more restrictive blank verse. But when she leaves the court and is free, her speech turns to prose. As her uncle becomes more insecure of his position, Rosalind herself is banished from the court, but not before falling in love with young Orlando. As Celia cannot bear to be without Rosalind, they decide to run away together, posing as brother and sister. So Rosalind becomes a boy, Ganymede, and Celia a shepherdess, Aliena. The scene I have chosen is when Rosalind and Celia are strolling through a forest covered in love poems. Rosalind is trying to find out from Celia who wrote them, I chose this scene because it shows how the usually strong, brave, independent young girl can suddenly turn into a girly, swooning mush after falling head over heels in love. But as it is a scene with someone else, rather than a monologue, I found it quite challenging to make the character of Celia believable. So to do this, I really had to listen and react as if she were there. But I loved the playfulness of the scene, and the difference in the joy Rosalind's feeling when she finds that it's her crush writing love poems about her, to the absolute horror that he might see her in what Elizabethan times would have been a horrible disguise of tights and a doublet and hose. This scene is so relatable to a modern-day audience, even though it was written almost 400 years ago. Please imagine Rosalind is dressed as a boy and strolling through a forest covered in love poems. What? From the east to western Ind, no jewel is like Rosalind. Her worth being mounted on the wind, through all the world, there's Rosalind. All the pictures fairest lined are but black to Rosalind. Let no face be kept in mind, but the fair Rosalind. I was 7 out of the 9 days of wonder before you came, for look here what I found on a palm tree. Trow you who have done this? Is it a man? I prithee who? Nay, but who is it? Nay, I prithee now with most petitionary vehemence tell me who it is. Good my complexion. Dost thou think that I'm comparison like a man? I have a doublet and hose in my disposition. 1 inch of delay more is a self-deceived discovery. I prithee tell me who it is, quickly, and speak apace. Ugh! I would thou couldst stammer, so thou mightest pour this concealed man out of thy mouth, as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once, or none at all. I prithee, take thy cork out of thy mouth, so I may drink thy tidings. Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard? Why, God will send more if the man will be thankful. Nay, but the devil take mocking. Speak, sad brow and true maid, Orlando! Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Where went he? Where parted he with thee? When shalt thou see him again? Answer me! In one word. But doth he know that I'm in this forest, and in men's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled. Oh, ominous, it comes to kill my heart. Do you not know I am a woman? When I think I must speak. 'Tis he.
Celia for 5 months in that very play. It was very tempting to leap up on stage and fill the gaps in. It's brilliant. It's so clever how you can chop and change Shakespeare around and turn it into something completely different. It's just fabulous. Shakespeare allows us to do that, and we're so lucky as actors that we can play all of these different roles. It's just so exciting to see these young people develop their performance skills. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have hurtled all the way to our very final performance of this afternoon. It's nearly finished, I know. So without further ado, I would like to invite Charlie Carr to the stage, who will be playing Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 3, Scene 2 from Aylesbury High School.
Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, it is a tremendous pleasure to be standing here before you all. I'm Charlie, and I've chosen to perform Act 3, Scene 2 from A Midsummer Night's Dream. In this scene, Puck is talking to his master, Oberon, about how his task has gone. His task was to make Titania fall in love with a beast, and he is excitedly telling Oberon all about how he did this. However, after this extract, he realizes that he has made a terrible mistake. I really relate to the character of Puck because, like him, I always try to help out my friends, and I really want to make a difference. This is clear in the scene as Puck is eager to tell Oberon his news and has a wonderful time explaining it to him. However, as I'm sure many of you can relate to, it doesn't always go as planned. This is something I'm trying to work on as I just make silly mistakes. I sometimes do find it difficult to relax around those I don't know very well. My anxiety makes it especially difficult, but one thing I find helps me is drama. Immersing myself in the role, I become someone else. That's why I've loved doing this piece so much and why I chose it. It's been amazing to just mess about a bit and have fun, even with those I don't know very well. At the end of the play, Puck performs arguably the most famous monologue of A Midsummer Night's Dream that starts with, "If we shadows have offended." Essentially, he is removing himself from the events that have taken place as Queen Elizabeth herself is in the audience, and she may not have taken too kindly to some of the references to the monarchy. Whilst I don't fear for my head, I do relate to the feeling that I'm simply a shadow when I act. I'm a vessel for my character to be shown through. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy my performance. My mistress with a monster is in love. Near to her close and consecrated bower, while she was in her dull and sleeping hour, a crew of patches, rude mechanicals, that work for bread upon Athenian stalls, were met together to rehearse a play intended for great Theseus' nuptial day. The shallowest, thick-skinned of that barren sort, who Pyramus presented in their sport, forsook his scene and entered in a break. When I did him at this advantage take, an acid's knoll I fixed on his head. Anon his Thisbe must be answered. And forth my mimic comes, when they him spy, as wild geese the creeping fowler eye, or russet-patted chuffs, many in sort, rising and cawing at the gun's report, sever themselves and madly sweep the sky. And so, at his sight, away his fellows fly. And at our stamp, he o'er and o'er one falls. He murder cries and help from Athens calls. Their senses weak, lost with their fears thus strong, made senseless things begin to do them wrong. For briars and thorns at their apparel snatch, some sleeves, some hats, from yielders, all things catch. I led them on in this distracted fear and left sweet Pyramus translated there. When, in that moment, so it came to pass, Titania waked, and straightway loved an ass.
If we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And what visions we have seen this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that for you it has been a magical dream this afternoon. You should all be incredibly proud of yourselves. Now that our last one is back in, let's give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. They're all awesome, all of you, absolutely awesome. So that's it now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to send the judges off. I hope they have got gin, I don't know, sherry, ale, anything really to help them make this decision. We're going to have a quick break. It's down to you to choose the Don Miller Audience Award this afternoon. We have a first place, a second place, and an award chosen by you, the audience. So you have a slip of paper that you can fill in if you're old school. If you're fancy and up to date, you've got a QR code that you can scan. So make sure that you do that. Head off, have a quick break. Please make sure that you are back here at 35 minutes past 4, because at 40 minutes past 4, the doors will slam shut as we head towards our announcements. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You've been an absolute pleasure. We will see you back here in a moment. Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears and your eyes and your fingers crossed and everything else. Oh, gosh, it's exciting, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, all of the decisions have been made. It has been fiercely fought, I understand, between the judges, which is always quite funny, really, to imagine them having a little fight backstage. So I'm sure as you're all eager for the results, what we're going to do is we were going to present the Don Miller Award first, your Audience Choice Award. And the Don Miller Award was created to recognise the many, many years of service that Don Miller did for the English-speaking union. So I'd like to invite his wife, the late Don Miller's wife, Maureen White, to the stage to help me present the award. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Don Miller Audience Choice Award, this is your fault, all of you. The brilliant, absolutely brilliant result for Layla Colley and Laurie Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's my bit done. It has been an absolute pleasure to be with you this afternoon. So now I am going to hand over to our chair of the judging panel, Dr. Victoria Sperry, and also the Director of Education for the English-Speaking Union, Louisa Searle, to let you know who are the winners and the runners-up. Here they are.
Wow, and thank you. I am an academic, right? I could not do what you have just done. Every single one of you have impressed the judging panel, and I do want to stress that regardless of the results, you should all be so very proud of what you have achieved today. The judging panel have stressed that this has been incredibly difficult. There were tears, there were actual tears based on these performances. There were heated debates about who should win. and mainly just a real sense of the high standard. And we are used to grading papers and grading performances, and you all did such a great job. So please, can I just ask everyone to, again, with a round of applause. And just to add, this is an intimidating stage space, right? So the fact that you all looked comfortable, you took us along and spoke clearly, you got an emotional response from us, and you found different ways in to 400-year-old material that has been done over and over again. And believe me, I've seen a lot of Shakespeare, and it's so lovely to see refreshing takes on it, particularly from young people. So please, regardless of the results, I know you want them now, so I'm going to get to that. Do use this literal platform that you have already shown that you are so capable of using, and carry on, all of you, please. Okay, but without further ado, firstly, I'm going to announce our runner-up. And our runner-up, we felt, was so very brave in taking a really interesting approach to Shakespeare and a Shakespeare scene. We were impressed by that take, and indeed the delivery of a convincing and a compelling performance. And our runner-up is Malachi. Honestly, I would love to see that take on Shakespeare at university. Okay. Yeah, we really love that idea of bringing marginalised characters to the centre. Brilliant. Okay. So our winner of the Performing Shakespeare competition for 2024 is Charlie Piper. Just one last thing to say to Charlie. I've especially seen many Hamlets. So these were two very different approaches that we all loved, in the idea of bringing the marginalised character to the centre, but also seeing a fresh take, a really emotional take on Hamlet, which I've seen a lot. So that was a really astounding performance, so thank you.
To follow all that excitement and joy, but it is my very great privilege now to give the vote of thanks on what has been just the most inspirational afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed it. In fact, I know you have, because I've been sat in the audience, living it with you. It has just been electrifying. To our performers, thank you for a fantastic afternoon of entertainment, passion, and talent. I know that this is not the end of your journey, and we'd love you to stay in touch with the ESU, stay engaged with us. We are always interested to hear about what our alumni get up to, what they go on to achieve, and you will always have a home here at the ESU. It's now left to me to give a long list of thank yous. So forgive me for using a clipboard, but there's a lot of people to thank, and I need to thank them all. The first is a huge thank you to our ESU branches across England and Wales for your unwavering support of our competitions. To the volunteers who spend so much time over the 8 months of competition, travelling, hosting and judging at our heats. These competitions just could not exist without you, so thank you. Then to the judges who have given their time and expertise today. We've been joined by Victoria Sperry, Joe Fredericks, Louis Preston, Linda McCrow, Hermione Dodoni, and Rupa Datta. And also a huge thank you to the incredible Jen Stone for her professionalism and energy for stewarding us through this afternoon. A final thank you to all the students who have made today possible, both those who are sitting here who've performed on stage, those of you who've come to support, and those others who've taken part in the competition. You guys inspire us and drive us at the ESU. You are why we exist, so thank you. And last but not least, a big thank you to the ESU staff who work so hard to make today possible. You have no idea the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to put on all of the competitions, but also events like today. Thank you all so much for everything you've done. It's a real privilege to represent you here today. And so finally, to you, the audience, thank you all so much for being here, for bringing your energy and your support to our young people. Have a really safe journey home, and we look forward to seeing you at future ESU events, and indeed in 2025 for the next round of our Shakespeare competition. Thank you.